AEA staff support some of the best work happening in school buildings all over the state. We're going to take our listeners on the road into these buildings and talk to AEA and district staff about partnerships making a difference for kids. Grantwood AEA has more than 500 staff, and almost a fifth of them are speech-language pathologists. Our SLPs identify needs for and provide and direct speech and language services to children birth to 21 who have difficulties in the areas of articulation, language, fluency, and voice. I sat down with Grantwood AEA Regional Administrator Megan Clark to better understand what's involved with helping students communicate. Megan, when people think about SLP services, I think they have a pretty narrow idea of in their mind what it looks like, but it's a very broad scope of services. What does that breadth of service look like?
Like you say, it is very wide. So it ranges all the way from helping support students with visuals in a general education classroom to helping special education teachers with how to communicate using core boards or AAC, those devices that help students communicate with others. Another thing that some of our SLPs might help support is general education second grade classroom, for example. They might help support structures within the writing time to help their targeted student, but it really trickles out to the whole class.
It's good for all students, right?
Yeah.
I would guess people don't think that our SLPs are serving students who are really little, all the way to students who are 21.
Yes.
And so that's, you have to have, I think, a skill set to be able to maneuver that breadth of student service as well.
Our SLPs are an integral part of the school community. When our SLPs go into a general education classroom, they might help structure with some visuals the different components of the writing instruction. And while some of our students need that as more of a specially designed kind of method, the rest of the students can benefit from those structures and visuals that are put in place. We're so lucky to have such a great team that supports all kids.
I knew our work was so much more than just simply helping students pronounce letters, and was eager to chat with Grantwood AEA SLP Kaylin Wazalewski and a special education teacher from Iowa City West High School, Steve Merkel, to discuss how they're ensuring success for all learners by partnering together. So, Kaylin, maybe first off, you could talk to us a little bit about the types of services and things that you do with teachers and with students.
A lot of the kids that I work with don't have any verbal language at the moment. So giving them those opportunities to learn language and use it eventually, creating environments where they can be like, oh, I can communicate this, and teaching them that. It really just depends on the student, where they're at, what they're ready for. So like one of our friends uses one of those low-tech picture boards with the fringe to communicate, and some of them are ready for that more high-tech device, so the verbal output.
Kaylin has a roster of about 50 students with a wide range of needs. She supports students at 2 high schools, a junior high, a preschool, and recently started supporting an elementary school. I was curious how her work varies from school to school.
My West High is mainly like kids with devices, communication devices. That differs from my preschoolers, where it's more in like a play type of situation. Most of them have like an iPad that has buttons that you can push, and kind of integrating that into their day-to-day environment. We use low tech and high tech. So the low tech would be kind of that picture board that you're. Oh, yeah,
He's
perfect.
happy.
All right. Meet Steve Merkel. Steve has worked in education for 30 years. His main philosophy for student success is promoting a culture of camaraderie at West High School. I asked how having the support of an SLP and access to these high-tech solutions has helped his students integrate into the classroom.
One thing that's great about having the speech pathologists come in is they have probably a way higher knowledge of how a lot of these devices work and techniques to get the kids to use them. A lot of that's just way over my head. And when you get a good speech pathologist that comes in and says, oh, I can help you figure that all out. And when they can get into the room and be part of our class, even if it's like once a week, and see how we're using it, and then the tips they give us, or even handouts. All that is just tremendous help.
Other than having direct one-on-one teaching minutes, I'm helping facilitate what they've already learned over the years because they are in high school. Mm-hmm. So I'm helping facilitate what they've learned into different aspects of the classroom when they're in like their general education classrooms. If their teachers have questions about how to kind of promote their language or use the device, that's where I come in.
When I first saw that screen that was way smaller buttons than this, my first reaction was, no, I'm not going to get it, because I'd worked at this for years. But we focused on how to build those pages and those steps together. And we're doing some of that same stuff with a young lady over here and this gentleman here, because he can boom, 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 boom through three pages and tell you, I want some chips. Uh-huh. But I got a verbal student over here, where we struggled with every time he read a TH word, he'd say the. But when we started focusing on some of these emergent skills and that you had to read all the letters and going through the predictable chart stuff where you use your inner voice first and point at the words and learn those words and then read the sentence, that's how the speech pathologists have helped me break all that down and help me then focus on each kid in my room.
It was great hearing how our SLPs are helping to strengthen Steve's teaching style. I asked Steve how the education of his students might be impacted without the support of a speech-language pathologist.
Well, I had a girl that just graduated, and she was with us till like her 21st birthday. That was like a miracle how she finally, I saw it click. Mm-hmm. She would never use her device much, but when we really started working on going back to the basics, she got to the point where she was using sentences and communicating. Her mom broke down in an IEP meeting saying things like, now I can communicate with my daughter. And this took till she was 18, 19, or 21.
It's an incredible story to see that progress. I think Kaylin and all of our SLPs should be incredibly proud of how their efforts give a voice to our students. I asked Kaylin what she is most proud of working as an SLP.
I really just love seeing the kids succeed. That's it. Like, it gives me chills to think about. All I want is for the kids to have the most successful life that they can. And in any way that I can help facilitate that, that's the biggest reward. No two kids are the same. And in the field of speech pathology, things are constantly changing. We have expanded on all of the things that we can treat, whether it be in the schools or there's also the medical setting as well. There's stuttering, swallowing disorders, language, speech, cognition. It's so many things. And it's going to keep changing, and I think that the more that people understand about it and how much there is to it, I think the better.
Every one of these kids in my room is a new challenge, and I get new kids every year. I'm not ever really teaching the same way. It's like a constant shift of what does this kid need, and the challenge is individualizing that instruction. And again, I couldn't do it without a team. And when I have speech pathologists that come in and be part of that team and want to be in my room and learn the kids so they can figure out where that kid is and then share their knowledge with me, it's how it works. Mm-hmm. And it's great. And I'd love to hear that there's a lot of speech pathologists out there, because I think if I had any suggestions, I'd say get more.
Right. I heard all I needed to hear. I met back up with Megan to capture a few final thoughts. Obviously, communication is important, but how does that enhance or unlock curriculum for a student who really has been fairly non-communicative until they were able to use those devices?
We know that communication in our world is vital. It's part of our Iowa core curriculum that all students should be learning. When our SLPs are able to collaborate and go in and really help support kids to communicate with everyone around the school, it just unlocks the whole world.
What I thought was fascinating, on the iPads we looked at, there were, like on the main page, there might have been like 15 of the most used words. Yep. But then there's sub-pages, so there were literally, for some of the students, hundreds or thousands of words, that they could flip from page to page to construct sentences or phrases and things of that nature. Is fascinating.
It is. And the technology that is developing in that realm lately is just so intriguing, and our SLPs are so proficient at matching the right devices and apps with the right student and helping really push the students into those tomorrow communication systems.
It's fantastic that classrooms are implementing modern solutions to support our students, and I'm pleased to know we have such a great group of SLPs here to support this implementation. I'm John Spear, and this has been On the Road.